with that pretty epic battle out of the way, Chapter 2 is basically over. I'm just checking levels on the screen here. By this point, your main party should be around level 14 to 15. Of course, Lex and Lacus are higher because of the Elite Ring and Elite Skill, respectively. And now that the rest of the knights are gone, these healers are easy experience for just about anyone. We will need to heal, though, and Ethelyn really needs to repair her staff. Yeah, that's the problem with healers in this game. It's kind of hard for them to get gold. I mean, for that reason, now that Midale is in love with Edain now, probably a good idea to get him to give her his gold occasionally, just so she has enough money to repair her more expensive staves, like the Libro staff she will be getting in the next chapter. Yeah, which we'll have to sell to her. And yeah, she'll need some money support to buy that sleep staff as well. Well, that worked surprisingly better than I expected, because now Beowulf, who needs to experience more, can do it. Yeah, as I explained before, Beowulf does kind of suffer from a lack of good swords until he promotes, which is why I like to give him something like the Iron Cutter, which at least gives him a really powerful attack against armoured enemies, which you see a lot of in the arena. And yeah, some of your characters are probably too slow to double attack these healers. Mainly because they're slim swords, which don't weigh them down very much. In fact, have practically non-existent weight. I think it's something like 1. And of course Fury needs to fly out of range of those ballistas, because as someone on one of my videos did comment, yes, ballistas are effective against flying characters in this game, as they are in all the games. Well, in Fire Emblem 1, 3 and Shadow Dragon, only certain types of ballistas were effective against flying units, but and it's around this point that Lex really starts to become an amazingly good tank. Unfortunately, his promoted defense cap is a bit lower than I would want, but it's still good. And you rarely need incredibly insane defense in this game. In the 20s is usually enough for tanking. Sylvia just leveled up there. I should explain something about regarding Sylvia leveling up. It's not really that important, because you shouldn't really expect her to gain stats in any area but speed, and it's not like that's going to help her because you want to avoid combat. She'll never be a decent fighter, unlike Fina in Fire Emblem 3, who is actually surprisingly good in combat if you trained her up a bit, mainly because of rapiers, but that's getting a bit off topic. And now Lachesis is level 20, and that's really, really good, because next chapter she'll be able to upgrade classes and go from nearly worthless to incredibly valuable. Now, for some reason, armoured enemies with javelins like to attack Levin. This isn't a problem with me at all, because Levin just about dodges all the time against them, and deals pretty significant damage back. he often either activates continue or criticals. Or both, like he did there. Yeah. I could have equipped Finn's Javelin there, but to be able to counterattack them, but not sure it was really worth it. And we're just about approaching the end of Chapter 2, so I thought I'd give my opinions on the chapter in general. It's not the best chapter in the game, mainly because I think it gets a bit slow sometimes. It's quite long, and there are quite a few parts where there really isn't that much going on. That being said, there are a few pretty interesting bosses, and the battle at the end of those nights is rather epic, but like I said before, apart from that, a bit slow. The main redeeming factor is that a lot of significant characters join in this chapter. Well, probably the most amazing character in the whole game, apart from his son. But that's just because his son is basically him, but better. I am referring to Levin, of course. Now, after this chapter, you might notice I take a little bit of precautions to improve Fury's strength. I think this is quite helpful, and it makes her a pretty decent attacker as well. I mean, getting her things like the Strength Ring and... well, you'll see, there are a couple of things in the next chapter. Of course, something I should mention about Fury is that she can actually use swords as well as lances right from the beginning, unlike Pegasus Knights in other games who need to promote before they can use swords. So I didn't actually realise, well, remember this until Chapter 4. So if you're around this point, it is a pretty good idea to sell Fury a slim sword. Really helps against enemy axe users, especially in the arena. And she will want a slim sword rather than a steel one, because she's someone who really benefits from her speed, so you don't want something too heavy. I mean, characters like Beowulf or Holland, the ones who don't really care about evasion that much, they're the ones who need the blades. Just thinking I need to heal people, but on that note, where exactly is Edain? She's still down the bottom there somewhere. Doesn't really matter as much. I think I can get by with just Lachesis and Ethelyn. Now hopefully these blisters don't get as haxy as the other ones and start hitting with 10% chances, and whoa! But I expect nothing less from Levin. By the way, that speed isn't capped. He can actually reach 29 before he even promotes. As another, this game was actually the first to introduce unique class stat caps, but rather interestingly, it's also the only game in the series where, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but where non-promoted characters can actually have caps higher than 20. I think it's sword fighters can go up to 25 in skill and speed, and Levin can hit 25 in speed. Other than that, yeah, most non-promoted characters can only go up to 20. Except I think, is it Prince or Princess that has some rather weird caps, but other than that... Like, 3 ballistas on their own are not going to be much trouble unless one of your characters is on, like, 2 HP or something. And it's pretty easy to just rush your mounted characters up the hill and take them all out.